Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys how I applied for a teaching job in China. So let's get into it. First thing that I did was I was just looking at jobs. So last year I started my teacher training course in the September, and by January, obviously new year, new aspirations, things like that, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to achieve by the end of the year. I was on a site called Indeed, and Indeed is basically a platform where you can go onto the website and search for jobs. So it's got jobs all over the world on there. It's really good, and it was quite strange actually, because last year when I was looking, I'm always looking for jobs in the industry that I want to go into. Sorry. So when I realized that I wanted to go into teaching, I was consistently looking for teaching assistant jobs, you know, just to help me get into a school and gain some actual teaching experience. A Chinese job came up last year and I was like, this looks interesting, because I'd never really seen anything like it on Indeed before. So I clicked on it, I was looking at it and I was thinking, not too sure. It didn't seem as detailed as maybe I wanted it to. It was basically saying you apply for a job in China with a school or an agency, and then if you get the job, fantastic, and it's kind of like you have to do everything on your own. And by that I mean you basically have to find yourself an apartment, you have to take yourself to the bank and try and set up a bank account, you have to set up your own phone. All of these things are absolutely fine, and because I'm quite an independent, spontaneous person. However, I'm not that spontaneous. I'm not going to lie, I don't know Mandarin. Loads of people are like, oh my god, how do you not know Mandarin when you are going to China? And I'm like, well, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? I'd much rather learn the language when I'm in the environment. I mean, people might learn differently, but I'm more of like a kinesthetic learner. I want to be shown how to do something. Do you know what I mean? So I have books and apps and blah blah blah. But anyway, beside the point, I'm sorry, this is gonna go on forever. I'm just having like a rant. I was like, this sounds like an amazing opportunity. However, I think that's a bit too scary. I mean, I've lived in other countries before because my dad used to be in the army, but I was with my family. It's completely different. Whereas this is going to the other side of the world and going to a country you don't know the language. It just seemed a bit meh. So anyway, I kind of left it at that. I'd never actually applied for the job then. I just looked slightly into it. Bring on January 2019, I see this advert again for teaching jobs in China. So I'm like, right, that's strange, because normally I know things pop up all the time, but I'm quite an intuitive person. So I believe that if things are supposed to happen, they'll come back around. So I'm like, this is strange, because I kind of tried last year and it didn't work. So this company that I found on Indeed this year was called Kango China, and I will link them down below because they've been absolutely amazing with me. Kango China is basically, again, another platform but for teachers, and you basically fill out a form. Like everything, you fill out a form, and this form is brilliant because it's going to be specialized to you. So you'll be putting in the information that you want. So if you want to teach at university, you can. If you want to teach at primary school, you can. If you want to teach at a nursery, you can. Like, you can teach anywhere or for anyone. I actually mean that, because obviously China is such a big country. In regards to myself, I was doing this off the whim. Like, I didn't think too much about it. I actually thought, do you know what, I'm gonna apply. If anything comes of it, something comes of it. If not, it doesn't. Like, at this point, I was not bothered. I know that sounds weird, but it was kind of like I did it quite impulsively. I feel like something's pushing me to apply. I wasn't sure what like year range I wanted to teach. I knew I'd probably only be able to teach English, because I know they do like physics, maths, business, music. Those are more university level students, and if you've I suppose, got a degree in those, whereas I had a degree in special effects makeup. It was completely out there, so it was more like arty. I suppose I could teach art, but I don't really think they do a course in art. It's kind of like all incorporated into primary, I guess, when they're younger. So I just ticked everything. I didn't know at the time. What I love about Kango China as well is they basically send off your form. They put your form out there into the universe somewhere, and basically what happens then is schools directly contact you because you match what they're looking for. So whatever you write on the form, I literally was just like tick, tick, tick. I ticked everything. I was not sure what I wanted to teach or what age range I wanted to teach. I was just like, meh. The first school that contacted me was a school called Best Learning Dalian, and this is the school I'm actually going to, which is crazy because it was the first school that contacted me. It was the first school I had an interview with. It just felt right, especially when we had our initial face-to-face interview and they showed me around the school on FaceTime. It seemed like me. But what happened was Best Learning, they contacted me through email, and what they do is they're trying to sell themselves, I guess. As you're trying to sell yourself when you get a new job, you want to obviously put all your best features out there. That is what Best Learning did as well. So they told me the hours that I'd be working. They told me all the benefit that I would get if I got the job. So by this I mean, you don't just get a job in China. They don't just like throw you out there like I felt like that other like last year would have done that to me. They pick you up from the airport, they put you up in a hotel for like 3 days, they help you find an apartment. This is all in like the first 4 days as well. There will be someone with me if I need to go shopping, because again, I don't know the language, so I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my god. I'm just so excited because I've had this job since the start of February this year. That's crazy, isn't it? A lot of things changed for me last year, but I think it was a good thing because I feel like if I hadn't gone through the gone through the stuff that I've gone through, then I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. Does that make sense? So I completely believe in like everything happens for a reason. Yeah, so back to China anyway. I applied for the job at the end of January. I got the job pretty much straight away. In regards to the job as well, just to be a little bit more detailed, the process of the job was, it was a very pleasant experience. It wasn't stressful or anything like that. I literally got the form. They told me all of the benefits, and I was like, yeah, do you know what? I'll have an interview. Oh yeah. Sorry. We arranged to have an interview, and then I had a lovely lady FaceTime me, and the first stage was more of like an interview. It was very casual though. The lady just basically asked me why I wanted to move to China, why do I want to teach. Dalian Best Learning as well, sorry I forgot to mention before, it's a teaching English to 2 to 12-year-olds. Which, do you know what, I actually think I would prefer teaching the younger ones English, because I feel like it'd be more fun. You know, going to a university, not knowing Mandarin, I feel like would be quite intimidating for me personally. As soon as I had that interview with Best Learning, I was like, do you know what, I want to teach the younger ones. I think that's where I'm being led. So after the initial sort of questions, they were quite easy questions. She asked me if I had any teaching experience, which I had, but it was obviously at an older level because my placement was at a college. And then once she was happy with me, she showed me around the school. Now I know this sounds silly because China is a lot bigger than England. The school was massive, like it just seemed a lot bigger than I was expecting. I mean, I know it's on a camera, but there was just so much space, and I was quite like, this is good. And then after that, she sat back down and she basically told me that I was going to have to do a 5-minute video. Now this, I hate doing roleplay, and this was like one of the best kind of moments of my life, but one of the most cringy moments as well. we ended the call and I did it then and there because I was so excited. I'd just come off the phone with this woman in China at this school, and I was like, you know, I was booming. Set up my camera. I researched it as well. So research in this sort of work is so important as well, may I add. I literally researched how to do like a micro teach 5-minute thing for teaching abroad. This guy who did it on like colour and fruit, so I thought, I'm gonna do that. Like, I don't know what else to do. Luckily enough, I had coloured card paper. I did the basic colours, I think, like green, blue, yellow, red, something like that. I had 4 pieces of paper, but you have to like introduce yourself. So it's like me now, say you're my children, like my class, and then you literally have to say welcome. Like, you have to, but you have but you have to proper like over exaggerate. Obviously you've got to be dead bubbly, dead positive, dead chirpy, and then you actually have to pretend that maybe one of the children doesn't quite hear you, so then you'd be like this or like that, or you'd say it again, or you have to pretend like kids are being naughty, so you kind of have to say it's like stand up or whatever. But it was a really good experience. But basically, this is kind of like my experience of having applied for a job in China. And I kind of want to do really in-depth videos as well, because there are quite a lot on YouTube, but I feel like some of them are lacking like vital information. My next video will be more detailed of how to get a visa. Now, this experience for me has been quite stressful. But again, I've made it stressful myself. It's actually, when I look back, a very easy process. But I'm going to do that in the next video because I want to break down all the details. If I've missed anything in this video is like how you get a job in China. I will link Go China down below. The only thing that, sorry, this is probably one of the main things that you actually need to get a job in China. You need a degree. It's actually a Chinese law now that you have a degree if you're teaching in China. If it's in English, then you don't need a TEFL certificate, but because mine wasn't in English, I had to do a 120-hour online course, which is basically teaching English in a foreign language. But you have to have a degree to teach in China. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to find out about how to apply for a Chinese visa or a Z visa, which is your work visa, please check out my next video. Thank you, bye!